So, Slivers. There's quite a few deck techs online for these guys. This is just an overview of one of my friend's Sliver decks. It's pretty disgusting, to be honest with you. It's an absolutely filthy deck. He's got 4 alternate commanders. The most common one that most people run is the M15 Sliver Hivelord. Sliver creatures you control are indestructible for obvious reasons. You've got the first Sliver. So Sliver spells have got Cascade, which is really good. You've got Sliver Overlord, which is fetch an answer basically. So search for a Sliver, put it in your hand, and then gain control of target Sliver. It doesn't really come up that much, but if you're playing opposite another Sliver deck, it's really handy because some of the Slivers say all Slivers. That's mostly the older ones, whereas some of the newer Slivers all say like your Slivers. So that's important to keep in mind. And the last one is Sliver Legion, so Slivers get +1/+1 for each other Sliver on the battlefield. So gives you access to the 5 colours. They're a total toolbox deck. They can be ran at a very minimal level, or like this deck, they can really be geared up. And a lot of that comes down to the mana base. So we're going to look at the mana base here. So we've got Jetmir's Garden, Rafine's Tower, Sparrow's Headquarters, Ziatora's Proving Ground, Xander's Legion. So that is 3, 4, 5 of the triomes, which allow you to be fetched, which is a pretty big thing. First couple of turns with Slivers are quite slow. You've got Command Tower, which is your 5 colours. Mana Confluence is obviously your 5 colours. Path to Ancestry, although it does enter tapped, and there is a card in here which allows you, is it Spelunking I think it is, which means that they enter the battlefield untapped. So the way that works is, for something like Steam Vents, when it enters the battlefield you can pay 2 life. If it doesn't and it enters the battlefield tapped, you just choose not to pay the 2 life, and it enters the battlefield technically tapped, but Spelunking says it enters untapped. That's my understanding of it anyway. I need to reread the rules because it's been a wee while since I've used Spelunking. But Path of Ancestry, add 1 mana of any colour in your commander's colour identity, so 5 colours, and you're going to be casting, I think there's 37, 41 actually when you count the 4 commanders, so you're going to be scrying quite a lot. Cavern, obviously, you're going to name Slivers. Sliver Hive, again, obviously. And the big thing here is at the end of the turn, if you've got 5 spare mana, just activate that and it's just another Sliver on the battlefield with all the additional benefits that you get. Mutavault becomes a 2/2 all creature type, so it becomes a 2/2 Sliver, which is really powerful. Then you get Mesa, Flats, Heath, Rainforest, which is your fetches. So that allows you not only to get your shocks, but also get your triomes and also get your basics. So it means that early game, get the triomes. Once you've got your mana base up, you can start to get your shocks, and then late game, if you're worried about your life, you can start to get the singles if you don't want to pay the 2. So you've got Vents, Ground, Fountain, Foundry, Garden, Crypt, and Tomb, Shrine. So some really nice lands he's got in here. He's really went to town on some of these. This one here, the Overgrown Tomb's one of my favourite box toppers that he got. It's absolutely stunning artwork as well. And these are all your shock lands, just as good as Jewels, about 500 quid less. Most of them are now. Paying 2 life in a 40 life set. It's pretty much a no-brainer. He's got the flip lands as well, so he's got the pathway lands, I think these are called, so this is your white-red one. He's also got Timbercrow Pathway, which is your green-red one. Just making sure, I thought I'd sorted these out earlier, but apparently not. This one, again, Pathway, you've got the green and the white. Sundown Pass ends the battlefield tapped unless you can 2 or more other lands, so one of the, I think these are the slow lands, these are called, and Shipwreck Marsh, and then you've also got Shattered Sanctum. Desert Beach as well, so you've got 4 of the slow lands here. When you make a 5 colour Sliver deck, he's also got 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 basics here, really nice for Exene basics. When you're making a Sliver 5 colour deck especially, what you really want to do is count your pips, because that's a really big thing, because you might, what you find is in a lot of commander decks, green's the most common colour, and then it's maybe say white, blue, black and red might not be so much. So you want to lean into that green. Green also gives you your ramp, naturally the most powerful colour in Commander, sadly. But you really want to count your pips, and that's how you build your mana base out. So as I say, Spelunking, 2 and a green enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, draw a card, and then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. If it's a cave, you gain 4 life. Again, that's not important here. The big thing is lands you control into the battlefield untapped. That's huge for a 5 colour deck. Anything 3 colour above, you really want, 4 colour, really 3 colour, you can get away with just 1 Triome, but 4 and 5 colours, you really need all these extra ones. And Virtue or Loyalty, at the beginning of your end step, put a 1/1 counter on each creature you control and untap those creatures. When you get your mana weft slivers out, untapping them every turn just gives you access to all that mana every turn. Really powerful. Artifacts, your usual Sol Ring, Arcane Signet. You've got Whisper Silk Cloak, which is going to go on your commander, obviously. Commander Sphere, add 1 mana of any colour in the commander's identity. It's a 5 colour mana rock. Chromatic Lantern, lands have tap, add 1 mana of any colour. Again, 5 colour commander, you really need this. And then Door of Destinies, which is a staple in tribal decks. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Obviously, you're not choosing knights, you're going to choose slivers. When you play a spell of that type, put a charge counter on it, and creatures you control of that type get +1/+1 for each charge counter on it. Again, the deck just gets out of hand so quickly with all these little things. Synergises really well, as you would expect both a tribal deck and a sliver deck to do. So let's say you're running the M14 Sliver Hivelord. So it's out on the board, all your creatures have got Indestructible, which is your kind of go-to. Even if you're running one of the other ones, you usually fetch it up. So Verdict, can't be countered, destroy all creatures, pretty awesome. Day of Judgment, destroy all creatures. Wrath of God, destroy all creatures. 3 Boardwipes, pretty powerful. Awesome to see when you've got the Indestructibles. Not as awesome when someone paths or swords your Sliver Hivelord in response to you playing it, but again, it's magic, it's going to happen. Depopulate, each player who controls a multicoloured creature draws a card, and then destroy all creatures. So it's a great way for you to start to get a card draw in your deck. Armageddon, I love land destruction in EDH. I think it's a valid tactic. I know there's a lot of people out there who don't like it. That's a shame. Sucks to be you sometimes, but land destruction's a valid strategy. Destroy all lands. It's when you've got board presence, if you've destroyed all creatures and then you destroy all lands, you're essentially winning the game. Shatter the Sky, each player who controls a creature with power 4 or greater draws a card. Then destroy all creatures. Once you get things like Megantic Sliver, and a lot of these slivers start to just add +1/+2, getting to 4 and 5 power and above is very easily, even with your 1/1s. Aether Spouts, for each attacking creature, it's going to put it on the top or bottom of its owner's library. Such a great blowout. It's such a great card ever since it came out in M15. It's just always been a great card. In Hostilities, destroy all creatures and all permanents attached to those creatures, and Blasphemous Act, 13 damage to each creature. So pretty much all of the sorcery base in this deck is about board wiping. When you've got Indestructible Slivers, you don't really mind about board wiping. And then you've got quite a lot of counter spells in here as well. Not a huge amount, but just a few, just to try and protect both when you're casting if you don't have Cavern out, so you can cast your commander. But also, if you're casting a board wipe, you really want to protect it. The amount of mana this deck can generate when it gets going is disgusting. So you get Protect the Negotiators, 1 in a blue. If it was kicked, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token, but the main thing is counter target spell unless its controller pays 1 for each creature you control. You're going to have a lot of them. Negate, counter target non-creature spell, so counter the counter. Cancel, your good old just counter the spell. You've got Itali's Scorn. This spell costs blue less to cast if an opponent casts 2 or more spells this turn, so you can get it off for just one generic counter target spell. And then you've got Fated Retribution, destroy all creatures and all planeswalkers, and if it's your turn, scry 2. So yeah, more destroy creature types. You can kind of see this as a pretty... It's not an idiot-proof deck, it's not a simple deck to pilot, because you've got a lot of decisions to make, but you can see it really leans into that archetype of get creatures on the board, make them indestructible, wipe everybody out, win. So Virulent Sliver, all your creatures have got Poisonous 1. Gale Rider Sliver, every Sliver's got flying. Striking Sliver, they've all got First Strike. Venom Sliver, they all have Death Touch, great, a block and defence. Predatory Sliver, they just get +1/+1. Gemhide Sliver goes well with Mana Wave Sliver, they add one of any colour, so it turns them, makes it a lot easier to get your 5 colours out. Crystalline Sliver gives them all hexproof, can't be the target of spells or abilities. And I want you to notice the wording on this, slivers cannot be the target of spells or abilities. So this, if you're running against another sliver deck, you've just made the opponent's deck hexproof as well. All slivers have tap, add any colour to your mana pool, whereas Mana Wave to sliver creatures you control. So you can see how they fixed the typo in M14. Not a typo, but they've fixed the wording just so that it's only your slivers. Two-headed Sliver, all slivers have this creature can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures, which is we now know Menace. Diffusion Sliver, when it becomes a target of a spell or ability, an opponent you control counter that spell unless it pays 2, so it's essentially ward 2 now. Sinew Sliver, they all get +1/+1 again. Sentinel Sliver, slivers you control have Vigilance. Muscle Sliver, all slivers have +1/+1. Heart Sliver, all slivers have Haste, or unaffected by Summoning Sickness as it was then. Cloud Shredder Sliver, sliver creatures you control have Flying and Haste. Pretty good one for the Boros, really good. Quick Sliver, Flash, any player may play sliver cards as though they had Flash. Love this, great blowout card. You know, throw down the Death Touch Sliver, really good. Or you're not blocking, I'm going to throw down the Poison Sliver, Virulent Sliver. You know, having Flash just opens up so many options. Horn Sliver, they all gain Trample. Lava Belly Sliver, sliver creatures you control have when it ETBs, it deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker, and you gain 1 life. Again, you've got Sliver Hive there, every turn you can be creating a sliver. It's just, again, the synergy is, there's no other tribe, I know you're not allowed to call it tribes anymore because it's 2025 and offends people, but there's no other tribe in Magic that really does what slivers do. Sliver creatures you control have, when this creature is dealt damage, it deals that much damage to target creature or planeswalker. Spiteful Sliver, again a great one to flash in, especially if you've got Indestructible. Blush Sliver, so sliver creatures you control have Haste. Tempered Sliver, sliver creatures you control have, when this creature deals damage to a player, put a 1/1 counter on it. Siphon Sliver gives you lifelink. Realm Walker, it's a changeling, so it's every creature type, which means it's a sliver, kind of like Morphon. As Realm Walker enters the battlefield, choose a creature type, you choose slivers. You may look at the top cards of your library at any time, and you may cast basically sliver spells of your chosen type from the top of your library. Now 37 of your deck is slivers, so chances are you're going to be able to get 1 or 2 a turn from the top of your deck. And if you've got Flash, then you're just powering through it, and if you're untapping every turn, you're powering through it even faster. If you get Flash and you've also got untap every turn and you get Mana Wave Sliver out or Gemhide Sliver, before it even gets back to your turn, if you've got a full rotation of the board, you can have increased your count by like 3 or 4. Toxin Sliver, when it deals combat damage to a player, destroy that creature. When a sliver deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature that can't be regenerated. Great against Eldrazi. Root Sliver can't be countered, and sliver spells gain uncounterable. It doesn't mean you can't cast a counter spell against target slivers. So let's say you've got a spell where it says like counter target spell scry 1, counter target spell draw a card. You can still cast it. The spell just doesn't resolve, so it fizzles on the stack, and then you get the secondary ability. Essence Sliver, when Slivers deal damage, its controller gains that much life. It's lifelink. I'd need to check the article text to see if this has actually been errated to lifelink or if it stacks with lifelink. I need to check that one after. Bone Scythe Sliver. Sliver creatures have got double strike. Shifting Sliver. Slivers can't be blocked except by other Slivers. This is kind of like horsemanship except for Slivers. It just makes them all unblockable. Magma Sliver. All Slivers have tap. Target Sliver gets +X/+0 until end of turn. X is the number of Slivers in play. With Trample, you can just blow players out with this. Thorncaster Sliver. Slivers you control. When this creature attacks, it deals 1 damage to target creature or player. You can see how it just builds up and builds up and builds up, and it becomes very oppressive very, very quickly. Synchronous Sliver. All Slivers have Vigilance. Again, just another way to give them Vigilance. Brood Sliver. When it deals combat damage to a player, its controller may create a 1/1 Colour Sliver creature token. You imagine you're attacking with 6 Slivers, and you've also got, ETBs, deals 1 damage. You've got Pulmonic Sliver. All Slivers have got Flying, and the Slivers have, if a permanent would be put in a graveyard, you may put it on top of its owner's library instead. With Realm Walker, you're just recasting them. Ward Sliver. As it enters the battlefield, choose a colour, and all Slivers have protection from the chosen colour. Honestly, most of the time you're going to be picking green, because pretty much every commander deck out there runs green, so you're probably going to be picking green. Megantic Sliver. This was one of my favourites from N14. Slivers get +3/+3, nice and easy. Constricting Sliver. All Slivers have, Slivers you control have, when this creature ETBs, you may exile target creature an opponent controls. So it gives it that, Banishing Priest effect. Really good, especially if you happen to be getting a load of ETB effects from all the Sliver tokens you're creating. And the last one, because you really want to make your Sliver deck as oppressive as possible, just run Morph on the Boundless. He's Changeling and his ETBs, you choose Slivers. Spells of the chosen type cost 5 colour less to cast, and it only reduces the coloured effect to your mana. So it means that, let's say Sliver Hivelord's been out 3 times, rather than having to pay, twice, rather than having to pay 7 or 9, you're just paying 2 or 4 because they cost 5 colour less to cast. Morphon is just a kick in the butt. I was going to say a kick in the balls there, but essentially that's what it is. It's the icing on the cake for a Sliver deck, just to kind of make you really suffer. So that's one of my friend's Sliver decks. Not really a deck tech, more just like a deck breakdown. I'll put the actual deck itself in the description below. It's a really fun deck to play against, but it's also one of those decks that when you play against it, you realise how oppressive it can be. As soon as you throw down Slivers at a table, you're going to be the target. You just need to accept that, and you just need to kind of live with it. But yeah, thanks for listening to this video. I've got a few other decks of his, so I'm going to run through them, and then I'll upload them over the next couple of days. Thank you.